Chapter 24. How to Make Your Life Work. The main problem in making your life work is that your ego and rational mind keep you trapped in playing out the security, sensation, and power demands that you programmed into your biocomputer during the first few years of your life. You are stuck in these ineffective ruts that make you like a yo-yo bouncing between pain and pleasure. By continually trying to work the unworkable, you blindly repeat your mistakes in a manner that is perhaps more insistent than that of most lower animals. Werner Erhard has pointed out that even a rat does not usually get hung up in a fruitless repetition of lifetime patterns that are doomed to failure. Let's suppose there are 7 tunnels arranged side by side, and you put some cheese at the end of tunnel 3. Then you turn a rat loose at the entrances to these tunnels. It will sniff around, maybe look them over, and then, in a random fashion, explore the tunnels until it finds the one with the cheese. The next time you put the rat near the tunnels, there may be a certain amount of random behavior, but there is a much greater probability that it will go after the cheese in tunnel 3. After the rat has done this a few times, it will immediately run down tunnel 3 to get the cheese. 1 day in a rat's life corresponds to about 1 month in a human life. Suppose that for a period of 60 days, the rat finds the cheese at the end of the 3rd tunnel. This would be equivalent to about 5 years in a human life. Then suppose the cheese is moved from tunnel 3 to tunnel 4. Now we put the rat near the tunnels, and he again runs down tunnel 3 to get the cheese, but the cheese isn't there any longer. The rat will come out, look the scene over, and try tunnel 3 again. He may repeat this several times, but after a few repeated trials with no more cheese, the rat will stop going down tunnel 3 and start exploring the other ones. A big difference between a rat and a human being is that a rat won't continue to run down the tunnel that does not provide cheese, whereas a human being may continue to run down the same tunnel for his entire lifetime, trying to find the cheese that isn't there. Sooner or later, the rat will give up on tunnel 3, since it doesn't have a rational mind to continually analyze, compute, and try to prove that the cheese is down tunnel 3 because it used to be there. A rat cannot go to a library to read books about cheese and how one is supposed to be able to get it. It cannot formulate arguments or make speeches proving that the cheese should really be down tunnel 3, and it cannot try to convince fellow rats that there really is cheese down tunnel 3 even though it is in fact not there. The nervous system of a rat will quickly adapt to the fact that the cheese just isn't where it used to be, and it will start looking somewhere else. When you were 2 years old, you probably learned that the way to get the cheese, or whatever you wanted, was to scream loudly and try to power trip your parents. They seemed to control all the cheese. If you cried and fussed enough, by using your 3rd center of consciousness, you would get them to give you candy or let you stay up late at night or whatever it was that you wanted. You were largely unconscious of the overall picture, and your ego kept your awareness focused on your fears and desires. When you looked at life, it was as though you were looking through the end of a long tunnel and saw only a tiny spot of the world at the end of the tunnel. The overall picture of life was blocked out by the sides of the tunnel. Your immature biocomputer permitted your fears and desires to project on the screen of your consciousness only a tiny slice of the life realities around you. You had no real choice in your life because you had no wide-range perception of the people and events around you. By age 2, you had deeply programmed yourself by using crying to force changes in the people and things around you. At that time in your life, this was one of the few ways you had to get what you wanted from the world. It is difficult to explain to a 2-year-old that the lower 3 levels of consciousness generate unhappiness, and that the really big stash of cheese is located at the end of the love tunnel and the cornucopia tunnel. How do you tell a young child that there is only a little dab of low-grade cheese, which will never be enough at the end of the security tunnel, sensation tunnel, and power tunnel? How do you show a young child that he can have all the cheese that he could ever want by harmonizing his energies with the flow of the people and situations around him? How do you explain to a crying child that loving acceptance of the here and now is the only way that brings continuous happiness in life? And so you get used to running down the security tunnel, sensation tunnel, and power tunnel, hunting for the cheese. The fact that you are reading these words right now indicates that you are getting suspicious about the first three tunnels and are beginning to explore the love tunnel and the cornucopia tunnel. You know there must be more cheese in life than you have been getting. Diagram 1 shows you why your life hasn't been working, and Diagram 2 shows you how to clearly start getting the cheese that has always been waiting for you in life, but which you couldn't get because you persisted in trying to find it down the wrong tunnel. Your life is naturally good. It has always been workable. It's just that your biocomputer kept making the same perceptual mistakes over and over and over again. Diagram 1. How you create unhappiness in your life. How you ineffectively try to improve your life. Controlling life energies, people, things, situations in your life, transmitted by your senses. Your addictive programming, emotional feelings are triggered. The experience you create, anger, fear, jealousy, resentment, anxiety, etc., unhappiness, your resulting actions, your feedback to life. Energies. You criticize and reject yourself and others, negative alienating feedback, back to life energies. Diagram 2. How you create happiness in your life, how you effectively improve your life. Loving, accepting communication. Life energies. People, things, situations in your life transmitted by your senses. Your preferential programming, reprogramming your addictions to preferences. Emotional feelings are triggered. The experience you create, joy, pleasure, love, reverence, etc. Happiness, your resulting actions, your feedback to life, energies. You unconditionally accept and love yourself and others, positive unifying feedback, back to life energies. Why isn't your life working as it should? What is pouring sand in the gears? The problem is simple. Your programming continually directs you to find happiness by trying to change the life energies around you. You put most of your attention and energy into trying to manipulate the people and situations in your life. Since you found some cheese at the end of Tunnel 3 during the immature early years of your life, your ego and your rational mind continue to direct most of your energy into changing the life energies around you to fit your addictive inner programming. See the top box in Diagram 1. Now let's follow the cycle around to discover how you create a hell from the world in which you live, when heaven is there all the time. The words and actions of people are sent by your various senses into the analytical and interpretive sections of your biocomputer. When outside patterns do not fit your inner programmed patterns, you respond with negative emotional feelings such as anger, fear, jealousy, resentment, etc., and create your experience of unhappiness. See right-hand box and bottom box in Diagram 1. This leads you to the fourth phase of the wheel of unhappiness. You then begin to criticize and reject yourself and others. You communicate with words, vocal tones, facial expressions, and body gestures that either you are rotten or the world is rotten or perhaps both. Your rational mind criticizes other people and finds fault with them. It gives you reasons why they are fools, idiots, uncaring monsters, evil beings, or whatever. Or you may use programming that turns your rational mind against yourself and creates the experience that you are inadequate, hopeless, inept, dumb, inferior, crazy, or whatever. This alienating subject-object feedback then begins to change the behavior of people and the characteristics of the life conditions around you. We're back to the top box in Diagram 1. In other words, your negative feedback begins to make a dramatic change in the response of the people and conditions around you. You thus create an environment of antagonistic people and situations. Now the wheel of unhappiness begins to turn, and the people around you begin to respond with words and actions that reflect their negative feelings to your criticism and rejection. Then this feeds back into your emotional programming and triggers more anger, fear, jealousy, or uptight emotions, and you react by criticizing yourself more and criticizing others more. See Diagram 1. This feeds back into the people and situations around you and turns them against you even more, and things become even worse in your life as the cycle turns and turns and turns in a downward spiral. Your rational mind may accept this downward spiral as proof that your life is impossible, that people are horrible, and that there is no way of making it in life. A human being trapped in the wheel of unhappiness does not realize that the world is not doing it to him. The defenses of ego, aided and abetted by the rational mind, make it extremely difficult for him to realize that he is doing it to himself. He can prove that people are really treating him that way, and they are, of course. What he doesn't see is that his continuous criticism and rejection of the outside life energies have conditioned people to respond to him in that way. The same people could have responded in an entirely different way. At any time, they could have been loving and supporting, and the wheel of happiness could have been set in motion. A person trapped in the wheel of unhappiness will spend almost all of his or her energy trying hopelessly to manipulate the people and situations to fit his or her programming. Although this was one of the few responses available at age 2, it is by no means the most effective response available to a human adult that has the potential for higher consciousness. A higher consciousness being realizes that the people and things in his or her life are only minimally changeable by a consciousness that creates the experiences of life through the 3 lower centers. After all, you don't want people trying to force you to change, and whenever you perceive attempts to dominate you or control you, you develop a great resistance. The more they try to change you, the more you try to go the other way. A higher consciousness being realizes that there is only one way to genuinely change the words and actions of people to fit his inner programmed preferences without turning the wheel of unhappiness, and that is through loving communication from a consciousness that is not emotionally upset. When you are trapped in the wheel of unhappiness, you have no conception that you are futilely directing your energies in the useless attempt to use conniving and emotional pressure to change the words and actions of people around you. And so, unlike the rat who adapts to the fact that the cheese is no longer located in the 3rd tunnel, you keep yourself trapped by trying to manipulate and change the people and things in your life. The problems you had at age 2 are gone, yet you are unconsciously playing out the methods you used back then. These obsolete solutions deprive you of the opportunity to fully experience and enjoy your life. When you apply a heavy enough power trip, you may make certain changes in the life energies around you, but if you were conscious of the enormous separation and alienation that your criticism and manipulation creates with the people around you, you would realize that you cannot afford the price in lost happiness that you pay for the precious few changes you may force on the surface. The only changes that you can make without paying a large penalty are those changes that gently and easily happen when you make a loving communication. When that won't do it, you should work on releasing yourself from your inner addictions and emotion-backed demands that are controlling or dominating your consciousness. How do you stop the downward spiraling of the wheel of unhappiness and start converting it into an upward spiral of happiness? You need to redirect your energy from trying to change the outer life energies to changing your inner programming. See diagram 2. There are no methods available that will enable you to successfully change all of the outer life energies around you to fit your inner emotional programming. You could have the power of a king, the prestige of a movie star, or the knowledge of a PhD, but the condition of your life would still remain the same. You win some and you lose some. By using the 5 methods of living love, you have the capacity to change your own inner programming. There is a huge supply of cheese waiting for you, but you can only get to it by working on your own inner programming so that here and now, you can emotionally accept the people and situations in your life. When you work on your inner adaptation, by reprogramming the emotion-backed demands you place on people and situations in your life, you will find that the life situations and energies that used to create unhappiness will be neutral or positive in their effect on your happiness. Your energy, perceptiveness, and ability to love unconditionally will make you invulnerable to suffering. And so the 3rd phase of diagram 2 shows that you begin to feed back a loving acceptance of the people and situations around you. Just as your criticism strongly affects the life energies around you, your positive feedback can begin to powerfully affect the life energies around you. The more you lovingly accept people in your life without conditions, the more you free them to enjoy being around you. Their egos and rational minds do not have to stay in a paranoid or defensive place, and when they are with you, they can begin to experience themselves free of security, sensation, and power addictions that you formerly reflected or set off in them. This frees their energy to experience themselves and you without a tunnel vision effect. They begin to feel free and liberated around you. They develop a deep trust that you will remain tuned in, centered, and loving no matter what they do. They can just relax and enjoy and begin to groove in a loving, mutually supportive space with you instead of negatively affecting the life energies around you so as to put people even more out of phase with your programming, as in Diagram 1. People may now begin to change their feelings in ways that begin to fit your preferential programming. And if they don't change, it doesn't matter, because it was only a preference anyway. Since you are largely free from addictive programming, they don't have to walk around like they're tiptoeing on eggs all the time. They can just relax and flow with their own inner vibrations and energies, for they know that you won't make yourself upset, regardless of what they may do or say. As they begin to love you in a deeper and deeper way, their egos may begin directing their energy to do the things that you prefer. And this can stimulate joyous feelings that create the experience of increasing happiness in your life. Your up-leveling of addictions to preferences enables you to love more and more. See third phase of Diagram 2. And the wheel of happiness begins to turn. For your love modifies the life energies of people and frees them to love you and serve you, which feeds back into your preferential programming so that even more enjoyment and happiness are created. Then your feelings of love multiply. Since your loving feedback to the life energies around you is further intensified, the wheel of happiness turns and turns and turns in an upward spiral, thus creating loving, peaceful feelings that spring from a deep harmony with the here and now of your life. Just as you created the experience of unhappiness in your life by your continual negative feedback into the life energies around you, you have now, in a godlike manner, created the experience of happiness in your life. You have created a miracle. You are no longer an effect of the world around you. You have become a cause, a creative source. Your higher consciousness has created the beautiful world you live in. Now you know why your life is naturally good, how your life really wants to work, and how your programming has been the only roadblock to your experiencing continuous happiness in life. You know that you have the capacity to create the experience of happiness or the experience of unhappiness in your life. It all depends on the quality and quantity of critical, rejecting energy or accepting, loving energy that you feed back into the people and situations around you. You see clearly how you have kept your life from working. You can now begin to demonstrate the miracle of creating happiness in your life. And by doing this, you are doing the most you can for other people. For the most effective way to help them is to become a happy, loving, conscious being. Lectures or exhortations are only a sham that can be spotted as another subtle method of manipulation and control. Unless you are actually off the wheel of unhappiness and have the wheel of happiness turning joyously in your life. And once you realize that happiness runs in a circular motion, you won't need to lecture or exhort other people to convince them. They will be picking up on how you have jumped from the wheel of unhappiness to the wheel of happiness, and they will be asking you how you did it. And then you can share with them the methods of the living love way so that they can begin to create the experience of continuous happiness in their lives.